Some say that only fools rush in, but that's not the case with the mighty twin. Our podcast is a platform with differing views. We're mostly overweight, have beards and problems with booze. When in town are currently playing shit, but we will still be here talking about it. Middle-aged men making random calls. Oxford and Bristol can go suck on our balls. We don't like to judge shit on fools rushing. We don't like to judge shit on fools rushing. We don't like to judge shit on fools rushing. Oxford and Bristol can go suck on our balls. There's Fifey, who's a legend, and Diz, our leader. Woody, the coach, is legit, and Joe is slick like a cheetah. Then there's a positive son of a gun who's also media mad. Craig and Mark, and one show will think Clem is just a fad. Which got his light on, Arch has a heart on. Ladies love Nick cause he got a big age. Colin's a boxer, Kieran's a lobster. Ned is just Ned, and Warren is massive. It isn't random plot for Save on Tires. Save on Tires! We don't like to judge shit on fools rushing. We don't like to judge shit on fools rushing. We don't like to judge shit on fools rushing. Oxford and Bristol can go suck on our balls.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to your Monday night Fools Rush In. It's going to be a fairly quiet one for us tonight because there's just me and one other. There's no guests. There's no pre-planned games. There's just straight conversation about why it's all about the cups. Let's forget about the league for a bit and attention on what was a fascinating weekend in women's football. And I'm pleased to say that playing that intro today has certainly re-energized my partner in crime tonight. Please give him a warm welcome. Good evening, Rich.
Evening, Fifey. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, good. It's been a while since I've heard that intro. So
I was going to say, obviously I'm in charge of the buttons and I'm refusing to play one of them at the minute because Spotify are falling out with me. So I thought, oh well, it's not been a great week. Let's bring this one back out. And as soon as it started playing, your little face lit up.
Yeah, I was just like, yes, come on. I was hoping you were going to play it at some point, considering as well we've lost and drawn 2 in the last 3 as well. I'm thinking, oh, come on, surely we got to play this at some point because genuinely we are playing shit at the moment. So no, It's an absolute classic, mate. How that never got to #1 in the charts, mate, I'll never know. But it's an absolute banger. So, yeah, absolutely do love that.
Even it's just me. It's just me and you tonight, so we will be able to really get in depth as to your thoughts on everything this weekend. We will, of course, talk about all other matters as well. And that means that we get to kick straight off. And just like Woody did the other week, you get the unenviable task of tackling a two-parter intro question on your own. Yes, it's the return of the Era's 11, and we are on the centre midfielders. Now, just to prefix this, the same way we did with Woody, I have selected the number... what's the best way of saying this? I've selected kind of defensive midfielders together and centre midfielders together so that you can't necessarily pick two defensive midfielders together. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Good evening, Jason, who's nice and early in the chat. And Mike says, looking forward to hearing Rich's thoughts on his match. Mike, I understand from mine and Rich's little pre-show talk, you've already got a lot of Rich's thoughts on his match. But yes, we will certainly be talking caution very, very soon. Should remind you, especially with it being a quiet show with just the two of us tonight, this is as much your show as it is ours. We are live, Facebook, YouTube, and X. So please throw your comments in and be part of the conversation wherever you are watching. So let's start then. Reminder for anyone who hasn't seen this yet, we have taken the Wilson era, Di Canio era, and Wellens era, pretty much picked the starting 11, the main starting 11s from each of those, and putting them all head to head in a start, sub, and sell competition. Good evening, Barry. The team so far: Fodringham in goal, Cadiz at right back, Sheehan at left back, Greer and Baudry get the centre-back roles. Ritchie on the right wing. Danny Ward took left wing last time out. And now Rich is about to pick his central midfield in this 4-4-2 formation that I'm putting together. So, choice number one. And I'll let you decide. Do you want to go with the centre midfielders or the defensive midfielders first?
Let's go defensive midfielders first.
Okay, defensive midfielders first. That means
let's set the standard.
Let's set the standard. This could be a huge choice. This, remember, it's start one, sub one, and sell one. Rich, your choices are Jonathan Douglas.
I knew that was coming.
Oliver Risser and Anthony Grant.
Oh, okay. Gotta have the Rolls Royce as to start. We've got to have Anthony Grant. I would bench Johnny Douglas, and I would, in a heartbeat, sell Oliver Risser. You know.
I'll be honest, Rich. Given your infamous line,
I know.
which is still how you're listed in my phone. After all this time, in fact, let me see if I can quickly do this. Rich,
Scottish, Irish, Johnny Douglas, Rich.
I don't want to show your number. This is the thing. Hang on. Can I just show the contact? Where's the contact? I can do it on WhatsApp. It's fine. Rich. So hopefully you'll see this. I've filtered Rich here, and you'll see my number one choice. Rich brackets Dougie is English.
English. Well, it was originally. I thought he was Scottish, to be fair, but yeah. But yes,
absolute classic moment.
Yeah, no, that was brilliant, to be fair. No, so start Anthony Grant, sub Johnny Douglas, and sell Oliver Risser.
I think, me personally, and my votes haven't counted at any point, so they won't now, but I think you've done them the wrong way round. It should be start Dougie, sub Grant for me.
I mean, I've already got one backing me in the chat, so I'll
I can see that. Mike's gone play Dougie, sub Grant, sell Risser. Lepo, good evening. Grant start, bench Doug, sell Captain Risser.
Yeah.
Jason saying same as Rich, to be fair.
Yeah, no,
I think that Dougie Grant one, I think if there was more of us, I'd be interested to see how that Dougie Grant battle would go.
Yeah, it's difficult. But I just thought, I think as a defensive midfielder, I just think Anthony Grant for us was just. I mean, I'm not saying Johnny Douglas wasn't, because he was absolutely incredible
For
us.
me. I know it all ended in disaster with everything that went on with the squad at that time, but
Yeah.
for me, Douglas is probably the best defensive midfielder we've had.
Again, I do you know what? I think this would have been a great debate.
It would have been. Shame no one could be bothered to turn up for it, eh, Rich?
Never mind. But yes, for me personally, I think Anthony Grant starts for me.
I am just going to point out, and this is no disrespect to Anthony Grant at all, who is, a fine specimen, and clearly I'm not one to talk. But Woody was laughing after he had to do the two centre-backs on his own, that this 11 had almost no pace in it, and we're still not picking the paciest of players. Yeah, Mike, that's exactly my point. The pre-Button Douglas is the one I'm looking for. Okay, so Grant makes the 11, but who is his central midfield partner? And I don't think this is as straightforward as you will initially think it is. Okay. You've got the choice of Simon Ferry.
Oh, yeah.
Alan McCormack.
Ooh, okay.
Or Michael Doughty.
Oh, you bastard.
Start, sub, sell. Ferry, McCormack, Doughty.
So I'm going to come out early on this one, because personally for me, I think Alan McCormack shined more as a centre-back and a CDM. So I'm going to say sell McCormack, just plainly on that basis, so I can eliminate one player.
So you're going straight head-to-head Ferry versus Doughty?
Yeah, it's literally going to be a Ferry versus Doughty.
I mean, it's not a bad choice. It's not a bad position to be in. Start one, sub one, is it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think people would kill me if I didn't go for this player, because he was just incredible in all his spells at Swindon for me. So I think Doughty's got to start. Over Ferry. As much as I love Ferry, he did have a couple of seasons where he had a bit of a wobble. But obviously under Di Canio he was class. So I'm gonna go strong with Doughty and then sub Simon Ferry. But yeah, I think the right call for sell McCormack just on that basis. Yeah. So start Doughty, sub Ferry, and sell McCormack.
Just throwing it out there, and I didn't expect this at all, Rich. We are 9 players into this 11, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we've currently picked 3 Wilson, 3 Di Canio, 3 Wellens.
Wait, there we go.
I was expecting a very Di Canio heavy team.
Oh, that's brilliant though. That just shows over the 3 eras like how competitive all 3 eras, but I mean they were all completely separate as well, because obviously Wilson's main era was obviously, I know he was there until 2011, but 09-10 was his era. Di Canio's 11 to 13, and then Wellens was 19 to 20, 21, whatever it was. But yeah, no, amazing. Oh, that's incredible. But yeah, no, I'm strong with those ones.
Mike says Di Canio used 1 million players.
That's a fair point.
And it does mean, for those who are keeping tabs on this game, that for Halloween on Friday we pick the 2 strikers.
Oh, is it going to be a trick or treat?
Oh, well, it's definitely going to be a treat. But I know which order I've put them in, because I've already got them on my bit of paper. People are going to be screaming. Absolutely screaming, because they're going to say, I want X and Y. Well, sorry, but X and Y are in the same list. You're going to have to choose X or Y. That's going to be great. But well done to Doughty and Grant, who make the starting 11. I'm going to do it early because I left it very late on Friday night. But we are, it's under 2 weeks away now from our live show. There is still time if you'd like to come and join us to celebrate 5 years. To go to the Eventbrite website, search up 5 years of FRI, and Mike says surely it's Karouche plus one. And claim your free tickets. We have some phenomenal prizes already in our Deal or No Deal inspired game that we're going to be doing. We are raising money for 2 fantastic local charities. There's all your usual FRI nonsense as well, and we're not giving up hope yet. I know it's very late in the day, but we are still working on maybe having a guest come and join us after the one that we had unfortunately had to pull out. But even if that doesn't happen, it should be a fantastic night. Pretty much all the fools are in attendance, and I know I'm looking forward to it. I know Rich is looking forward to it. And we would love to just come in and have as many people there to celebrate 5 years of what has been complete and utter chaos at times, such as Jonathan Douglas being English and Mehdi Karouche plus one as the starting striker in a modern day Swindon 11.
Genuinely,
right.
if you just want a night of laughs, it's literally going to be like Central Comedy.
I know what will clear the tickets, Rich. I know what will clear all tickets. Let's sell this now. Are you drinking on the night?
I will have a few drinks.
Yeah, Rich is getting battered.
I will have a few drinks. So if you just want to hear me chat absolute nonsense,
you think it's bad on a normal show,
and me just put ridiculous amounts of money on prizes that I do not need.
Have I still got? I think I've still got one of them.
I've got
somewhere. Hang on.
I've got the 2 frames that I spent ridiculous amount of money on.
Yeah. That's not what I'm looking for. No, that's Charles. Was it this one? Is this the problem?
No. It's me going like...
Yeah. So this was at the end of our first ever live in person show. Rich looks okay there from this angle. But we did a charity auction at that one, and Richard had a fair few drinks, and he was throwing the money down at that point. It was chaos.
I feel as if I was sort of being pushed, though. I'll be really honest. I was like, I don't really want to put money on this, but then I was like, oh, go on then, screw it. I was getting evils. I was getting evils from everybody just looking at me like, is he going to do it? Is he going to put money in it? Is he going to do it?
I'm going to have to see. I'm going to have to see if I can, because it's still in the house somewhere. I'm thinking it might be in Aidan's room. I'm going to have to try and put some life into the old laptop again to try and get back some of those pictures so we can have the one. I love the one of Mark holding you after you realise how much money you spent.
Oh, that was so funny. That was literally, that's like a father and son sort of moment. It was so funny. We were having so many laughs that night. Myself, literally, Mark was just whispering shit in my ear every single time. I was just absolutely pissing myself. It was so funny. Genuinely, I absolutely loved that night, and honestly, you guys will not be disappointed if you come.
It's one of those things. Like, I'm sat here now a week and a half away, and like, for anyone who knows me, I'm fine doing this now. 5 years, I've done it plenty. I am nervous a little bit just about when it starts. Once I get going next Friday, I'll be absolutely fine. But that first sort of hello, it's probably going to be a bit Mickey Mouse. So I'll be like, oh, hello, there's people here.
I think we were all nervous that first live show. We just really didn't know how people were going to take it. We had no script, literally, and obviously I think
we still won't have a script.
I mean, we never do have a script. Like, it's just the way that we talk. Whatever comes to our mind. And I again, like you say, it's just pure chaos, but it's going to be pure chaos just live. And I think for me, that's what makes it funnier, because you're surrounded by people that are also laughing, just taking the piss as well. So honestly, it's just absolutely brilliant, absolute
Yeah,
bonkers.
look,
Like we've always been a family show, despite some of the language thrown around and all that. But
yeah.
at the end of the day, though, it's just such a great night, and I really hope it's going to be even better than the one that we had a couple of years ago, because it was brilliant.
When we did the one a couple of years ago, we were obviously very limited in terms of space. We already know that there is more people set to be there this time. And I got asked when I did the Tuesday watch along of the Notts County game, how many, and I said, you know what? I didn't look. I said I haven't been looking. I know that we're not exactly going to clear the Legends Lounge out, that there's no more access. But it just means that I said whether it's 10, 50, 100, 200 people there, it just means the world that people like what we do enough that they want to come. So honestly, and like I saw Jason's comment here, like he said, I'll be there and I've wrote my other half into coming. That I love that. Like people bring in, and this is it, bring friends, family. And I got asked a couple of weeks ago, can we bring kids? And it's like, well, look, you know what we're about. You know the kind of language that could happen, particularly if this fucking run of form carries on.
Yeah.
So as long as you're fine with it, we're fine with it.
Yeah, what was it? Liam brought his daughter last time as well.
Yeah, Liam brought his daughter.
Yeah,
Jack came as well, obviously, with Sarah, because Ben couldn't come. So yeah, of course. But yeah, honestly, look, we've talked more than I expected to. If you can come, and I see this, I've been trying so hard to get the stuff there that's needed to get you there, but I've just not put it all together yet. Again, I'm not giving up hope, but hopefully, if not, I can see someone's offered to video call him so that he can still watch what's going on. Between us all as well, Mike, there'll be enough smartphones that we'll be taking pictures, we'll be taking recordings between us that we can send you some, just to get a flavour of what's going on. But yes, last one. If you can, tickets are completely free. Any money on the night is going to charity. The bar in the Legends Lounge is open. The staff will be on hand to obviously take care of that. So if you are free next Friday, looking for something to do, then from 8 o'clock, I said, isn't it? Yeah, that's the official start time. From 8 o'clock next Friday in the Legends Lounge, the Fools will be there raising money for charity and talking all things Swindon Town. Right. I want to clear the men's team as quickly as possible, Rich, so that we can talk women's football, because it was a lot more entertaining than the men's game. So can we clear this quite quickly?
Yes, let's do it.
Swindon Town made it 2 unbeaten in another abject and dismal display that saw us rack up the only, and I've quoted this a couple of times, I don't know if you saw this, Rich, the only 0-0 draw in the top 4 divisions this weekend.
Bloody hell. My God.
That's how bad it was.
That's never happened, does it?
How can a team that at one point, got the top goal scorer in English football and at one point were the top goal scorers in our division, against a team that have had 2 players score hat-tricks in the last 3 games going into this, pull off a 0-0? What happened, Rich?
Do you know what? That game was exactly how I sort of thought it was going to happen. I don't know why, but literally Colchester, like I said, I fucking hate playing against Colchester, man. They're such a boring team. And it's so annoying that we just made it difficult. We just made it difficult for ourselves, It just, I don't really know how to describe it. It was just, but I'll tell you one thing, and I'd say it was probably the highlight of the actual game was actually the crowd. And I know we'll probably talk about.
We will be talking. The questions already come in.
We'll talk. I was going to say we'll talk about the Holloway comments after the game, but I must admit the crowd was absolutely buzzing on Saturday, and that was the only thing for me. The fact that number one, the fact that the crowd was good. And number 2, the fact that it wasn't absolutely freezing cold in like mid-December and dark by 4 o'clock. was probably the only reason as to why that was not the worst game I think I've ever seen in my life.
Um, it's
It
it
was
really
it
is a
was 2-1
difficult.
to Colchester, to be fair.
um,
But again,
it's a really difficult one to understand, and again, Lippo, I've seen your question. We will flash it up in a minute. Rich has already alluded to the fact we'll talk about it. I want to talk about the game first. It's a really difficult one to gauge because Colchester came in decent form.
yep.
Swindon obviously had been in decent form, but the 2 games leading up to this hadn't been great. So, as an isolated thing, you can kind of understand. But once again, you're left kind of questioning what's happened because it's so against everything that Holloway seems to have installed in not just even recent months, but going even back to the end of last season. It was so anti-Holloway that, what, from your perspective in the stands, for example, did Colchester nullify us, or were we just not fluent? Because I think back to the Notts County game, and I don't want to drag up stuff we'd already spoken about, but
Yeah.
I had a real issue with the lack of intensity and sort of verve, if you like, that Swindon didn't seem to have going forward. So was it the same again? Because I know I've spoken to a few Swindon fans outside of the Fools group. Obviously, we have our WhatsApp chat as well, and nobody's suggesting that the players haven't put the effort in. It's just the quality wasn't there. But what was missing?
Yeah, no, I completely agree in terms of quality. I mean, like if you look at the stats as well, like both teams had 9 shots on target, so it's not like as if that it was like I say, it wasn't a boring game. Both teams had their own chances, but again, like you say, the quality just wasn't there. It was like your bog standard mid-table League Two sort of game, what you would expect sometimes from a League Two game. And I again, like I say, I just think both teams were sort of starting to cancel each other out. It just the quality just was not there, and it's quite disappointing, really, because like I say, we have been proficient in scoring goals this season. Obviously, only real game bar Accrington, where we just got destroyed. We can score goals this season, and the fact that we've gone 2 games in 3 where we haven't scored a goal, I don't know. I'm not sure. Worried is what I would call it. I mean, we expect to have games like this. We expect to have runs where things may not be going quite well for us. But the problem is, though, is we need to be. I just feel as if that Holloway's gotten to a point where the team that he's selecting, he's got too many options. But then when players are either injured or they're not able to play for whatever reason, whether or not that's suspension or whatever, it's sort of mixed matching and mixing things up a little bit. And we're not getting the fluidity as to what we were getting at the start of the season. And I'm not too sure if it's like a communication thing or anything like that. But I mean, you can tell by the goals that we've conceded that a lot of it is down to communication, especially in the back line. And I guess when you look on the face of it, that's probably the only real positive on the pitch you could take from Saturday, was the fact that we didn't really make many mistakes. Colchester didn't really force us to make too many mistakes, and and we kept a clean sheet. But even still, like, Ripley was still sort of causing me concerns. I mean, his distribution was fucking shite. So it's really, I'm not really too sure really what to put on it. Again, like I say, the performance was just so flat. Nobody really put the effort in for us to actually get a game. Can you put that comment? Can you put Lepe? Yeah. 100% completely agree with this. And do you know what pissed me off the most was the fact that he got subbed off for Knight LaBelle, who didn't do absolutely anything. I saw Knight LaBelle getting ready to come on. I was like, if he brings off Mabete here, after him having an absolutely unbelievable game, I'm not going to be happy. And I was really, really pissed off with that. He didn't
Well, let's
again. That's the second game in a row he's done that. Why are you making that substitute? You do not need to make that substitute. And I said to Woody after the game as well. Sorry, I know you've got a couple more questions for me, but I said to Woody afterwards, and I think I put in the WhatsApp group as well, I'm really starting to get concerned about the substitutions or the decision making that Holloway is making here, because he made a couple of questionable substitutes on Saturday, and I was thinking, why the hell have you done that? And I don't feel as if he needed to do it. So it was a real shame, really. And initially, it was a bit of a joke, but towards the end of that game, and especially that substitute as well, considering I think Knight Labelle only came on for about 10 minutes or something like that, I was thinking, what the hell's the point? I didn't get it. I didn't understand it.
Well, let's break this. Let's break these things down individually then. And given how you've structured your piece so far, let's start at the back and work our way forward. So it has to be said, because I have been asking questions of Ripley for a few weeks now. The one shot on, as you correctly say, the stats show both teams had 9 attempts on goal. I think both teams had 1 attempt on target. The one on target did force Ripley into a very fine save, and I think he deserves props for it. And then on the flip side, as you correctly said, some of the distribution you do question. Defensively, I was pleased to see the lineup as it was, I think is the right way to put it, when it started. Again, I've seen lots of praise for Mabete, quite rightly so. You were clearly very happy with his performance as well. Wilson Brown continues to impress.
Him and Monroe, and again, that's really obviously I don't know what the status is. Apparently, it's not as bad as initially first thought, but Monroe was unbelievable. Wilson Brown, and I mentioned that as well in the chat as well. I thought those two are just so in sync. They're brilliant football players. Sorry, go on. Go
no, I was just going to say the positive, I suppose, for me, as you kind of said, we're playing with some of the younger players. Obviously, we knew that Tafazorli was unavailable, that there was a question as to where Clark's going to fit into the team. Does he go back in at centre back? Does he play in centre mid, etc.? This is what we were talking about on Friday. But I'm very happy that the likes of Wilson Brown and Mabete, having been taken out of the team unjustifiably, to some people might suggest, for the performances leading up to when they were taken out, I'm pleased to say it's not affected them, and they've come back in and continue to perform at such a high level. So when we're in this difficult period where we're not outscoring everybody, I suppose it's good to be able to go the other way and say, well, at least we've got a clean sheet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's, again, like I mentioned earlier, there is a positive to take out of it, even if it's the only positive is the fact that we kept a clean sheet and we didn't concede any sloppy goals. And I think if that's what we needed to do in order for us to not concede any sloppy goals and to get back on track, because let's be honest with you, there's been quite a few games where a lot of the goals we've conceded this season have been incredibly avoidable. And I'd say probably all 4 of them was probably 4 of them were against Accrington Stanley as well. And, again, like I say, maybe that tightening at the back is what we needed. And yeah, like I say, the build-up play as well on Saturday was, in the first half was pretty good. In the second half, it sort of dropped off a little bit, and especially when Monroe went off injured too, that dwindled a lot more. So that was a little bit of a shame. Just going back to Connor Ripley as well, like, again, I'm incredibly concerned about the positioning. He came out where we had the ball and they started to shuffle back a little bit, like back off us. They weren't really pressing us. And I think it was Mabete that had the ball, or Wilson Brown, I can't remember which one. And Ripley came out to the edge of his area, which I don't mind doing him being like an extra sort of defender. That's absolutely fine. Just to get the ball back up the pitch, no problem. Absolutely fine. The problem is though, we still had the ball. Wilson Brown had the ball, and he played it into, I think, Kilkenny, and Ripley was still stood there. I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute. Their number 10 could just literally come and just get that ball off of Kilkenny.
Bear in mind, he's been lobbed twice in recent weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And just score an open goal. I'm thinking, okay, that's absolutely fine. Coming out, being that extra defender, that's absolutely fine. No worries. Got no concerns with that whatsoever. But he's just literally stood there, especially even when Wilson Brown's just turned and he's gone and he's played the ball into the central midfielder. And he still stood there on the edge of his area to the right. And I'm thinking, mate, once that ball is distributed out and they've sort of pressed a little bit, you go straight back in goal, mate. I couldn't do it. I was thinking, what is Ripley doing here? So that really does concern me. And I think if you look back at the two goals, so the goal that we conceded against Accrington and then the goal that we conceded against Salford, it's starting to sort of play a little bit. Like I defended him a little bit, considering those two goals. But now I've focused a lot more onto his positioning on Saturday, and it's very, very questionable. He seems to switch off a little bit. He seems to not really know as to sometimes where he actually is, and that's a little bit concerning. I'm going to be honest, but
well, the
on.
one element of that defensive team we didn't speak about is the one who has at times become something of a pantomime villain for the Fools panel. In recent weeks, has actually gone complete turnabout face where everyone's been ready to load in on him, and I've been the one trying to defend him a little bit. Deluxe 976 on YouTube says Wright slows things down too much. Back passing does not move the ball quick enough. Did you recognise that on Saturday?
Yeah, he did that a lot on Saturday. I know. He's not wrong. I did notice that. And yeah, there was times where we had the ball in our own half, where all we needed to do was play it forward, and then we just played it back again. And I couldn't understand as to why we were doing that. Like, we had the ball halfway up in the other opposition's half, and yet we're playing it all the way back again. And Wright's just on the ball, just thinking, where am I going? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And that's not always his fault. Okay, sometimes it's not his fault. You've got to expect your players in front of you to drop off and actually receive the ball to feet in order to actually get the ball moving again. So I don't always blame Wright from that perspective. It definitely wasn't his worst game on Saturday. I actually didn't think he played that bad, but I can understand that observation and I can understand that point. But again, you've also got to expect your players in order to drop off, in order to get that ball fast-paced moving up to the striker again, creating the space. And that is something that we did lack. I mean, the only time really we did do that. And again, like I say, I want to highlight Drennan again, because again, he was just a workhorse on. I don't think Oldacre or Bowden did him any sort of gave him any sort of help on Saturday. I think he was just running on his own sake, to be fair. And it was that one time where we played to Wilson Brown, and then Monroe slid that ball all the way through, sort of whoosh, into Drennan's feet, and he obviously got the shot off. And that was the only real creative sort of moment that we had in the whole game. But again, like I say, Oldacre and Bowden did fuck all for me. And I thought that was a bit of a shame.
Well, before we get right up to the top end, let's move into the midfield. And someone you have spoken about already, so we can kind of expand on it now. is Finley Monroe, a player who we've spoken a lot about in recent weeks. He
Yep.
did go off injured. We are still waiting for the official line. You do worry, and Jason's right in his comment, Butterworth's injury wasn't as bad as first thought either, out for at least 4 months. Not sure what Wilson Brown has done, but didn't look good. Finley Monroe will be massive loss if it's a long-term injury, won't he?
Yeah, Monroe's been absolutely ridiculously good. I mean, that to be fair, that was a coup of a loan signing, really, considering where he played last season. I think it was the second division of the Spanish league, which, in all fairness, it's still a really, really good league on the grand scheme of things. So for him to come all the way down to League Two, I did think that was a little bit strange, but you can see his quality, and I think already clubs in the Championship are already showing their interest in him, so that doesn't surprise me. I think not only the fact that he's left-footed as well, which is obviously a massive part, but just his intelligence in order when to play the ball forward, or whether or not that's to beat the last man as well. I just think it's I just think he's done so well for us, and I think he will be a huge loss if he does come if his injury is not that great. I don't know what the deal with Billy Kirkman is. Hopefully he can come back into the team at some point, but
it's very interesting to see what happens tomorrow, which obviously we'll talk about in a bit in that sense.
Yeah, he's been left out for quite a bit. Don't know whether or not that's injury related or whether or not he's just not cutting it. I know he's not always been Holloway's biggest love child.
He had a good period during last season, so
I thought he did too. Personally, for me, I think his confidence went when he got subbed off after 20 minutes against Bradford.
Possibly. Rich, you'll be pleased to know that the pressure of delivering tonight is no longer firmly on your shoulders. Another fool has appeared in the lobby, and he's ready to have his say. Good evening, Woody.
Good evening. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Evening, Rich. Sorry, I was a bit late. I had a meeting after training, so I've not long got back. But I'm still literally just walked through the door, still got my trainers on.
This is how important the Monday Night Fools review show is to you. You always walk straight in from training and turn the laptop on.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I've not even said hello to anybody.
So we're just dissecting what happened at the weekend. We're kind of working through, as opposed to not so much individuals, we're working through positions where possible. And ironically, did you catch the very start of the show out of interest, Woody?
Not right at the start. I probably tuned in from about 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. So you heard Rich pick his central midfield in our October.
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
Oh, did you miss that? Okay.
Maybe 10 minutes in them.
We will come back, because I'm interested in your thoughts on one of the options in particular, because I know exactly which way you'd go with the other one. But we'll come back to that. Speaking of centre midfield, though, Woody, Ollie Clark did return, and he partnered Kilkenny. Obviously, it was something that we discussed on Friday, whether he comes back in at centre back or whether he should now be positioned because of the form of the likes of Wilson Brown and Mabete. We were right to suggest that he partners Kilkenny. How did you, or what did you make of them as a duo in the centre of midfield?
Probably easier to dissect individually. I thought that was one of Clark's worst games in a Swindon shirt. Very rash in the challenge. I mean, he's a bit of a hard man anyway, but there were some really poorly timed challenges. He gave the ball away quite a lot, and I think it made Kilkenny do twice as much, really. I think, Kilkenny was it his best game? Probably not, but I don't think it was anybody's really humongously best game. But it's, I was a bit disappointed because, me and Woz are we're big fans of Clark, and I know he does split the fan base right down the middle almost. But yeah, it's at times it was almost like a midfielder playing like a no-nonsense defender. There was a lot of rash clearances. Like he's meant to be that calm head in there. He's meant to be hard and he's meant to be strong, but he's also meant to be that calm head in there when we're playing the ball through the thirds, and we just didn't see enough of that. And I think because Kilkenny had the spotlight was then on Kilkenny, I think it affected his game a little bit as well. I think there was a slight change when Nichols came on, ever so slight, but I quite like Nichols as well, to be fair. So, but yeah.
Before we go on to the next one, I will give you the options just to sidestep away from what we were talking about. So, as you know, you had this a couple of weeks ago where you had to pick the two centre backs. Rich was left in a position, so your votes will not affect anything because they're locked in now. But the options on the start sub sell in centre midfield. First, it was the defensive midfielder of Douglas, Rissa, or Grant.
Oh.
Jason says Clark isn't a hard man; he's a real man.
Yeah, he holds the door open for ladies. That's what he meant.
Lepo, the passing from both sides, particularly midfield, was so slow.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get on to what I thought of both teams in a minute, I guess. But I can't get away from how much I loved Grant. So I think Grant starts for me. Do you know what? Only because Rissa was a good player, but he never in that team. He never shone to me as somebody I'm like, whoa, or anything like that. I think so. I think I'd sub Douglas and sell Rissa.
Okay.
On that basis.
The other centre mid options were Ferry, McCormack, and Doughty.
Oh, Doughty start all day long.
Yeah,
probably one of the best creative midfielders we've ever had. Sorry, who were the other ones? Ferry and McCormack. Well, we've already got Hardman Grant in there, so let's go with Ferry in there. Ferry was he was a good midfielder, but he was questionable at times. But it'd be quite handy. It'd be quite handy.
You picked the exact same as Rich on all counts there.
Well, that's right then.
Yeah.
I made one slight alteration.
So I was right then, Fifey.
Well, it seems that way. It is a democracy. I said for me, the only alteration I would make to that is I would go Douglas over Grant and swap them around.
That's fair enough. I can see why, but I just love.
Yeah, no,
I loved Anthony Grant so much.
I thought Grant was
into
Rolls Royce.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the subject of midfielders, you mentioned how Clark is kind of split in the fan base, Woody. One man who slowly but surely is not, but not for the right reasons, is Oldacre, as more and more people start to criticise his performances. In fact, did I see a comment? Lepo a little while ago. Oldacre does go missing in many games. What did you make of his performance?
What a bastard he is. I stuck up for him after Notts County game.
You did?
And I said, right, he does things...
Because other people do the running for him, you said.
Yeah. When he's got the ball, he can do things that, other players can't do. And he did show a couple of times, when I'm talking split seconds out of the whole 70-odd minutes he played. But he was just really, really poor. And it made me and Arch laugh because we have a bit of joke about it because obviously Arch hates Oldacre. I'm not massively against him. And obviously I'm winding him up on Tuesday because I'm sticking up for him and all of that. And then he comes up with that Taros. He was up. I'd go as far to say he was our worst player on Saturday, unfortunately. But I don't know if it's more... It's hard because you wonder whether he's one of those players that looks really good in a confident winning team. I'm trying to think who I would compare him to a few years ago, but because there's no doubt that there's been some games this season where I'm not going to lie, he is a slow player. I'm not going to say lazy. I think I think he's a bit more cleverer.
He
with
knows
his
what his
movement.
skill set is and he sticks
Yeah,
to it.
yeah. He isn't going to be chasing after things, and which is why you put Clark in there with him, or you put Nichols in there with him. But unfortunately, it was a really, really, really poor game, and I think I did shout down at one point, like, "Look, I've stuck up for you, Darren, like, and now you're letting me down." So yeah, and I hope he heard it. But
Woody, do you have something of a superhero complex naturally? Because I'm just thinking about these recurring themes over the years, and even in recent times, when the entire fan base was against Glatzel, there you were. When the entire fan base is against Oldacre, there you are.
Yeah, but I think it's because I don't know. Maybe it's the coach in me likes to see that
It's the parent in you.
The parent in me, yeah. But it's because I know what he's capable of doing. I still don't understand why he's not on set pieces. That still winds me up because I'm sure that's one of the reasons we bought. I'm sure that's one of the reasons we brought him in, and I'm sure it was even in the introduction, like paragraph piece about him, to say that he's a well-known set piece taker, and I think I've seen him take one. So it's but I do like it. It wasn't the game for him, but again, it was a poor performance all round. I thought. I've been criticised very heavily for my views on the game, but
so I'm giving you your platform in just a second.
Yeah,
Rich, before Woody does firmly go at it, just on Lepo's comments there, the passing from both sides, particularly in midfield, was so slow. We did start to mention this just before Woody came on, and I mentioned about the intensity and stuff of how we play seemed very anti-Holloway. What did you make of that particular? So we've spoken about the likes of Clark, Kilkenny, Oldacre individually, but as a unit, what went wrong for you?
What, just in general, or
in terms of the midfield and getting that service up to Drinnan and stuff.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Again, I personally think sometimes, the reason we're slow in midfield is because players aren't moving, or for some reason or other they haven't got the energy, or they can't be bothered, like sort of thing like that, or whether or not they're confused about their positions. I think Oldacre is probably one of those players that was potentially he's not that sort of player. He shouldn't be playing that position, to be honest with you. And the reason you have a 10 is so you have a link up to play the ball into your strikers or into your attacking final third. And for some reason or other, where if we do that, we sort of skip a step. And obviously that's the outlet that we're trying to do. We're trying to be really direct and trying to force the ball through. So all Drinnan has to do, because Drinnan's got the pace to beat any player on his day, and all he wants the ball is the ball played in front of him for him to latch onto in order to get the ball into the back of the net. And for some reason or other, we had the ball and there was just some kind of disengagement between the front line and that middle part. And for some reason or other, I'm not really too sure what it was. Again, it could be down to a communication thing, to be fair. But a lot of the time when that happens, myself and Woody, we've seen it a lot of the time where, we've got the midfield and they just don't know what to do with it. I mean, I don't think the front line really helped either. I thought Bowden was redundant in that game, if I'm being really honest with you. I don't think he added any sort of value. And again, like I say, Oldacre, in terms of his positioning, was just, again, like Woody said, it's harsh to say that it was lazy, but I just think in some points, and I think Mike, it was Ripley he was talking about, he goes and gets his coffee from the and cake from the dugout, but probably Oldacre does too as well, to be honest with you, sometimes. So again, if you take those two players out the game, which basically it was, all you've got is that midfield and Drinnan. So it's really, really difficult, and especially when you're asking Drennan to do an awful lot of things, because and he can do it, and he's got the pace, but that's not what you want. You want every player to be engaged in order to help the build up to actually get a goal. And the fact that we've only got those two players that were really sort of unsure what to do, and Oldacre and Bowden, you take them out of the game, and you've just got Drennan, your options are limited. So it's very difficult to always blame the two midfielders when your front line are hiding, or they're just not making an impact. But and that is a lot of the time the reason why the game slows down a little bit, because other players aren't doing their jobs. And you could sort of feel that again. And again, that all comes down to Holloway in terms of his decision making. I get he's brought in these players, like Oldacre was very, he came in with a good CV. He was one of the standout players for a good majority of the season with Chesterfield last season. Obviously, Billy Bowden obviously played in the higher leagues and stuff like that. It was obviously he's obviously played for us before under Di Canio and stuff like that. So, we know what those players are like, but those players are also getting older as well. So when you sort of take them out of the mix, you've not really got a front line at that point. You're just relying on Drennan to be chasing the ball down every single time and trying to slip it through. And when you've got players in front of you too, it makes it that much harder. So it's very, very difficult. It is very difficult. And I can understand as to why we weren't playing as quickly and as fluid as potentially we could have been.
You've heard what Rich had to say then. Let's hear your overall thoughts at this point.
Well, I thought both teams were diabolical, to be honest. I generally, I thought Colchester offered very little. They pressed well, but they didn't do anything with it in possession. Considering, like, everybody keeps drumming on about that they're a team in good form, etc. But yeah, it was just a very laboured performance, but it shouldn't have been. And I think I do point a little bit. I mean, the players have got to take responsibility as well, but I do point a little bit at Holloway. I think Glatzel should have started, really. I think Glatzel was probably the ideal to play against a team like that.
I think he would have offered much more than Oldacre.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I don't necessarily agree, I don't think Bowden was as less impactful as Rich has said, but again, it was probably just a mirror across the whole team, to be fair. I think we've kind of we synced a little bit into how we were last year, where we relied on Smith to do so much. We are kind of sinking into that trap of relying on Drennan to do so much now. And I do wonder, I think before I came on, because I was listening, but I think where Rich got it nailed on almost, it feels like we've worked really hard because we've had to change the defence again, even though technically we didn't really have to when we originally changed it. That it was more about keeping a clean sheet, which disappoints me when we were at home. And I don't know if we're going to come on to fans' reaction shortly, but I just think that my biggest problem is the whole situation is that, yes, every team goes through their blips. I get it. But I don't like this argument that it seems that every time we don't win, it's because the opposition were very good. When I thought Colchester were poor. I think Colchester, genuinely, and I know people won't agree, they were one of the worst teams at the County Ground this year. And I think when you look at the wealth of players they've got, I actually thought Hunter and Iandolo played really well. If I could pick out two of their players, Payne was non-existent. Payne was like an Oldacre, in my opinion. He barely got involved. So it's, but yeah, I just think that, and it just annoys me when we're supposed to be a team that are ambition of the top three, and we keep using this excuse. We used it against Notts County. We've drawn against a really good side. Accrington are suddenly really good because they're coming fighting from the bottom. Like, we're supposed to be a top three team. I can get one odd result. I get that. But the fact that we couldn't have come up, and there's 24 teams in this division, We want to finish in the top 3, and the last 3 games have apparently we haven't won because the opposition have been really good. That concerns me. That mentality concerns me. But we'll talk about the reaction in a minute. But what I will say, from the actual game, Munro was fucking brilliant again. I'm going to be absolutely gutted if he's out. I thought Snowden did all right. The McGregor switch was weird. I don't understand how Holloway was the only person in the whole ground that couldn't see that McGregor was uncomfortable on the left-hand side. Because I was saying it to Arch really early on. I said, when he brought him on, just put Snowden out there because Snowden is more comfortable out there. He's not left-footed, obviously, but he's more comfortable out there. And you saw it as soon as he did the switch, Snowden takes on a player. And yes, he did have to cut back, but McGregor was cutting back before taking on a player. And I didn't understand how he didn't see that. That was really irritating.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that.
I did agree with the Mabete sub, and the only reason being, and I don't like Knight LaBelle, the only reason being is because the ref had a word with him about 2 minutes before about that challenge he had put in. Yeah, about that challenge he had put in, and I'm pretty sure Mabete's on 4 yellow cards. So I think that was probably also a bit of a let's calm it down, let's make sure he doesn't get booked sub. I don't know that for a fact, but he did. He put in a really bad challenge a couple of minutes before he went off, and the ref's kind of like, you got one more type thing. So I think that might have been the reason he took him off. Which, if that is the case, then I can't necessarily disagree with it. But who else? There was somebody else I was thinking of. I said Nichols did all right, and Drinan again. It's a shame he didn't score because the only player that didn't deserve to knock anything in that game for me was Drinan and Munro. But because I think Drinan is just a man full of confidence at the moment. He's shooting from impossible angles and all sorts, and he probably did that a little bit too often on Saturday. But I like that. I like that in my striker. If my striker's feeling confident, I want him to have shots that wouldn't normally go in. So
yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the elephant in the room then. Post-match, all focus was pretty much put onto the booing from supporters post-match. Now, I have to throw the caveat out there early when I say my bit on this. Obviously, I wasn't there. I didn't hear anything. There was nothing overly audible in any of the highlight packages I've watched either. But clearly, it was something that Holloway didn't like, and I've seen a lot of negative reaction from Swindon fans about it after as well. We're going to break this into 2 parts. The actual event of the booing at full time and our thoughts on that. I've already seen a question, I think it was Lepo Early Doors, say, is it acceptable to boo your own team? And then we'll talk about Holloway's approach to it in the post-match after. For me, and again, not being there, I'm surmising from what I've understood. If there has been any, it's been minimal, which is that's irrelevant almost, but I would point out it was minimal. I don't believe for 1 minute any Swindon fan is booing the players in the sense of not fit to wear the shirt, really not happy with what we're seeing. I don't think that would be the case at all. I think it might have been yourself, Woody, who put something that did resonate with me in our WhatsApp chat about this. What I feel it may be is a culmination of what has been a terrible week at Swindon, where standards have not been maintained to the level that is now expected. And in a way, Swindon have become victims of their own, in inverted commas, success. I don't think, again, reiterate, I don't think the fans are booing the players for not being good enough or not trying. What I think if there was this booing going on, I think it's for want of a better way to demonstrate their frustration that we've been hammered by a team at the bottom who have only won 1 game in 5. That was against us. We have not shown up midweek against Notts County, been absolutely poor, could have lost, should have won, because Notts County weren't very good against us either. And then gone to a Colchester team who were less than impressive, despite the form that everyone keeps quoting that they went in. And again, haven't won and and it's because of that kind of, I referenced earlier an anti-Holloway style where we're not having the intensity, we're not creating the chances, we're not going at these teams, you know. And yes, there may be a confidence knock after Accrington, but 2 points from 9 is not promotion form. And Swindon fans, and this is not isolated to Swindon fans, but Swindon fans in particular, we all know we've got PTSD from shit going wrong a lot. And all of us really want to get behind that this is our chance. This is the best chance we're going to have to finally get out of League Two. We have a squad we believe in, a manager we believe in a league that is deemed not as strong as it has been because Wrexham, Stockport, Bradford, all these teams aren't in it anymore. And we're putting in now a consistency of performance that is below the standard set earlier in the season. That's the only understanding for this event that I can have. Now, you two were there. You might have a different perspective. Rich, I'll come to you first. First, did you hear it, and what was your interpretation of it?
The booing?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear it because I had already gone down downstairs before halftime, to be quite honest with you. So I didn't hear it, but obviously I did hear about it after the game, obviously in his post-match comments. Yeah, potentially. I don't know whether or not. I don't even think it was to do with the scoreline. If I'm being brutally honest, I think it's just the way that we've been playing. Like, you know, I don't mind us going into a game 0-0, but sometimes you can sort of take a sense to sort of like, okay, it might be 0-0 at halftime, but it's not going to be 0-0 at 90 minutes, like sort of thing like that. At halftime, you sort of thought nobody's scoring in this game. And I think that was the sort of motive for the booing. That would have been the motive for me to boo. Although I probably would have stayed very, very neutral. But you know, once that happens, you sort of expect the manager to sort of call it out, especially the fact that he's called it out several times over his tenure at Swindon. So that didn't surprise me whatsoever. And the fact that he's still not being as recipient as to how we feel as supporters is still quite concerning. And the fact that he's not taking it seriously. Now, whether or not that's sort of a deflect and he doesn't want his players to worry too much about it, I don't know if that's a morale thing or whatever, like sort of thing like that. I don't know if he just doesn't want to be questioned about it. It's very difficult, but you can tell he looks uncomfortable when he's answering that kind of question. And he wants to blame it on us for whatever reason. And I think it's a bit of a shame, really, because like, you know, we, at the end of the day, we're the ones that pay the money to go watch our football club. Yeah, like Woody said earlier, and I mentioned it too. You know, we're going to have blips in the road. Not every game's going to be brilliant. Not every game's going to be perfect. But, you know, take a bit of responsibility yourself and actually, you know, just say for once, okay, sorry, supporters, you know, it wasn't a great game by us. You know, you've got a right to your opinion. But my opinion is that it wasn't the greatest game, but we're going to fight back and we're going to do what we need to do to get back on track. That's all he needs to say. He doesn't need to call us out and say that we're, you know, we're not supporting the team, because I tell you what, the support for our club was over and above. That's probably one of the best atmospheres I think I've seen or I've heard in at least a couple of years, probably since playoffs. You know, we had the Don Rogers stand singing, the town end was singing non-stop that first half, and we get dealt that at the end of the game. I just think that I think that was poor. I think that was really bad comments, but I know Woody's got a stronger opinion than myself. So I'd be very, very keen to hear what he has to say on that.
Okay, well, as Rich didn't listen to the rules, Woody, let's see if you can. We'll keep the question separate, and we'll talk about the actual act of the booing first, and then we'll discuss Holloway after.
Ah, well, sorry, but I thought I'd get it
It's
all
all right.
out
You've got it all off your chest, Rich. You can feel better now. So, Woody, did you first and foremost did you hear it?
I heard, I would call them almost murmurs rather than boos, but I heard a couple of bits. But I think it wasn't. I agree with Rich. I don't think it was really at the team. I think it was just a way of channeling people's emotion and the frustration of the game and the frustration of the form that we were in. I do. I mean, I don't boo anyway. I don't recall the last time I did boo my own team. That's just my general feel on it. For me, everybody's got their prerogative. If they, for me, you pay your money. The same way, in fact, Jason's got a good example there in terms of that. The same way you go to see a comedian and you choose to heckle him or not. It's you're within your right, whether you think it's wrong or right. Everybody's got the right to boo or cheer. But yeah, I think it was very minimal. And I mean, it was almost like somebody just said boo and then it didn't happen. There wasn't like continuous boos. There wasn't, it wasn't unpleasant. Let's put it that way. I don't, I've been in the ground. We've all been in the ground when Swindon are near relegation or whatever, and we're booing, and So it's one of those, isn't it? How do you react? It's when you're near the bottom of the ground in bottom of the league and you're not happy with what you see. One argument says you need to be getting behind your team to give them everything you can to go up, but we're talking about the end of the game here. We're not talking about. I think Rich got it spot on in terms of throughout the game, there was a lot of support. Booing his frustration at the end of the game because we haven't got the result that we wanted, and we didn't get a performance we wanted. Now, obviously, we'll come on to the comments in a minute, and you're not going to get every game's not going to be perfect. But if fans want to boo, it doesn't offend me. I think it's. And I also think if it hadn't been mentioned in the post-match interview, I very much doubt it would have been much of a talking point anyway. It was that low. It was that minimal. I don't think it would have been talked about unless it was brought up in the post-match, as much as it has been.
I echo the sentiment from you, and I'm sure there'll be someone out there that can correct me with an example. Listen, I'm an emotive football watcher, whether that's in the ground, as you've witnessed before, or on TV. I'm quite happy to, during the game, if something happens that I don't agree with, poor bit of defending, a time wasting, whatever it is, I will shout at the players at the time, tell them that whatever the decision they just made was fucking stupid, whatever. I'm not really one to universally boo a team at the end, the same as I've never ever left a football game early. It's just not me. It's not my style. As for Holloway's approach to this, I for one don't have a problem with him calling it out. It's something he's not happy with. No issue with that at all. Where I think it kind of, he dragged it on too much and made, as you kind of just said, Woody, he made too much of a point of it. Like, absolutely say, look, I heard some boos. I don't understand why. I don't agree with it. And this is the reasons why. No problem with that at all. But to continually bring it up, I felt was, one, unnecessary. And two, for me, it was a complete sort of diversionary tactic to detract away from the fact that not just Saturday, but for the last 3 games, Swindon just have not been good enough. And he seems to not want to say, sorry, that we're just not good enough, that's unacceptable. He seems to want to, and I can understand it to a point, but he seems to want to defend the group and say, we're joint top. We've just drawn against Colchester, who have been in decent form. We're joint top and fans are booing. I don't understand what's wrong with you. The problem he's got with that, and while I understand that he has got credit in the bank with certain fans for what he's achieved to date. Again, that's a lot of inverted commas there in those quotes. Is it's not the first time, second time, or even fourth time he's called Swindon fans out. It seems if he can't get a win, one in every 3 games, he has to detract away from the ineptitude of the performances that is stopping getting the results, and it's always the fans at fault at that point.
Yeah,
and that's just my opinion on it.
No, I don't shy too far away from it. I think what he's actually doing is actually undoing what he says has been a success in uniting the fan base closer to the teams, because all it's done is separate all the talk over the. I mean, I even commented on Facebook Swindon Town fan group for the first time in about 5 years. Yeah, so it's like I think the problem is, the biggest problem I had with it, I don't necessarily have a problem with him calling it out if he's not happy with it. But the biggest problem I have with it is the booing either way, if there was booing, acceptable or not, happened at the end of the game. He was being asked what went wrong with the game. You know, there was no booing during the game. There was frustration. Of course, there was frustration because of some of the decisions we made. But that's just football. Hello, Mr. Holloway, 1,000 games. That's just football. But I think that's what irritated me the most was, and I think people that have commented on the groups and Twitter and all of that are forgetting the fact. Yes, they're saying that booing's wrong and Ian Holloway is 100% right for calling it out. Well, yeah, but what about during the game? During the game, the support was there. There was no mention about. I said in one of the things that's probably the most consistent I've heard the Town End go for a couple of years. Like to be fair to them, I don't like all of the songs they sing, but I don't like all the songs they sing. But at least they were pretty much going non-stop throughout the whole game. To be fair to them, and I'll give them credit for that, because the atmosphere has been pretty dull at certain games, especially when we're not winning. You know, Colchester were out trying to outsing us most of the game, and I think if there were more people in the Town End, it probably would have had a bit more of an atmosphere. But unfortunately, you're only allowed in the Town End if you've got a perfect eyesight over the age of 18 and have a posh pair of shoes. But it's. I just think that I agree with your points. It was a detraction, I think, to actually discuss the matter at hand. I'm not saying he has to go into the full details of where we got wrong, because you don't want other teams to catch those snippets without looking at highlights. But I do expect him to turn around and say, okay, we haven't played very well. There were a couple of boos. I don't really understand why there were boos. You know, we are joint top of the league. And that's, to be honest with you, that's why I don't understand the boos. Like, apart from the frustration point. If it's a boo because people wanted to boo, then yeah, there's just a bit of a strange thing. But we're talking that 75, 80, maybe even 90% of the fan base did not boo. So, and you've spent 75 to 80 to 90% of the interview talking about the booing, rather than talking about, at least because Billy Bowden was on on the player, but at least he spoke a little bit about where he thinks the game went wrong and things like that. But yeah, there's defending your players to an element. He can still defend his players and say we didn't play very well, but we're bloody working on it. We'll hold our hands up. They're all disappointed in there. Like, they are not disappointed because there was boos because we're now joint top of the league and they don't understand. They're disappointed because they've probably got their own standards that they shouldn't be drawing 0-0, drawing 2-2 and losing 4-0 to teams that at the start of play were nearly 10 places below us or more. So that's probably my biggest irritation. Like you say, the detraction method, the fact that, again, I mentioned earlier that it's the whole, we seem to only be able to lose or draw against teams that are, so say, good as well. So I just think that, and it's a good point you made earlier with it's probably the 4th time now that he's come out and had a pop at fans when we've lost. I mean, you look at Walsall, he agreed on it at Walsall, he did point a little bit at the players a little bit more, but the majority of the conversation was about that fucking chair that was thrown onto the pitch or whatever it was, or vape or whatever. Then there was the Bradford game last year. So yeah, I don't understand what he's expecting. Like, I didn't I look at my
For
personal
a man
reaction.
that's experienced as much as he has, so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
seems to upset him very easily.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I look at my personal reaction. I didn't clap him off. I definitely didn't boo, but I didn't clap him off either, because I just didn't think it warranted my time to sit there and clap and say, well done, etc. Because I thought we were genuinely shit. Am I happy that we're second in the league or joint top only by goal difference? Yeah, of course I am. I'd snap your hand off if you had told me that at the beginning of the season. But at the same time, I'm also looking at it going, we could be 5 points clear at the top heading into FA Cup weekend.
Yeah.
If we didn't play so shit. So it's so unfortunately
wasted opportunities at home.
Yeah, we've set our own standards, in my opinion, because we started the season so well. I believe we had the squad to be able to cope with small demeanors and things like that. And I just don't think, I think he's got it majorly wrong. And I think this break in the league action might have come at the right time. But I want to look back and I'll go, if we don't beat Tranmere, then there's going to be a few not questions because he's still doing a good job, but I don't know how long he can not expect fans to get frustrated.
Fear not, Woody, because Tranmere is on Fool's Weekend, so we're absolutely winning that.
Exactly. Yeah. Lewis Ward's going to go in goal, and
we need to make sure that we're not in hospitality that day, though.
Yeah.
No, we're certainly not in hospitality. Liam says, could both things be because Clem was in attendance? I have seen a few people's comment on the fact that he was in attendance.
I did see he was in attendance, yeah.
Okay, well, look, this has probably gone on for at least 20 minutes longer than I expected it to. So let's, unless either of you have anything else particularly important on the game you want to discuss, let's turn our attentions briefly to tomorrow night. West Ham in the Virtue Trophy. Rich, I'll come to you first. What are you expecting from this game? It's a competition we've suggested previously. We think Holloway will target to go and win. We've got MK Dons coming up in a couple of weeks as well. So what are you expecting?
It's difficult. Obviously our run's not been great, but I mean, obviously it's different competition in it, and obviously other players would be eager to sort of make their mark, especially players that haven't had the game time this season. So I think that could be very interesting. But I would like to see. Well, obviously, I think somebody said earlier that Kirkman was out with the toe injury, but I'd like to see him come back in.
Holloway suggested he will be in.
He will be in. All right, fantastic. It's difficult. West Ham, did they? I think they absolutely destroyed the last team that they played in this trophy. I can't remember what the scoreline was, but I'm pretty sure they won quite significantly.
2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds.
1, 2,
5-1 against MK Dons.
They won 5-1 against MK Dons.
Yeah.
They also lost to Reading.
They lost 3-1 to Reading. Yeah.
Oh, what? Oh. That's difficult because the MK Dons game wasn't too long ago. I mean, I guess we can't go on.
I think Reading was the more recent of the two, to be honest.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it's weird. I'm looking at the form table and it says Reading was on the September the 30th. MK Dons was September the 16th. But hold on a minute. How many teams are in a group?
3, 4, 4. 3 games.
Who have we played already?
Just Reading.
Reading, that was it, and we won, didn't we?
3-2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice little recap for everyone on what's going on with Virtue Trophy.
Yeah. No, I mean, to be honest with you, MK Dons didn't have a great start to the season anyway, so I guess you could sort of write that off a little bit. But I mean, like most academies or whatever, they're gonna have some strong players. West Ham's academy is pretty decent too. So I'd expect them to be quite quick in terms of moving the ball around. So we'll have to be on it. But we've got we've got a good squad, even if we are rotating, which we will be, I'm sure, to get a result out of that. But I think it'd be quite a close game. But it's very difficult given our form, plainly. So I want to say that we're going to win. But obviously I won't give that my score
Not
yet,
just
'cause I'm
yet.
sure you'll ask about that just in a second. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Woody, I'm going to follow up on a point Rich made, and then I'm going to ask you what you might anticipate in terms of that rotation. But on the back of what Rich just said and a comment you made a few moments ago, do you think, given everything that's happened in this last week, this game's come at the right time? Because we've got Virtue Trophy and then we've got FA Cup. So we've got 2 games in a completely different situation away from the league table where Holloway can almost take stock and reset.
Yeah, I mean, my first thoughts on it are actually it's probably, as much as I wouldn't have liked to get knocked out by a non-league team, it's probably the worst thing that's going to happen to us is the fact that we're playing Rotherham in the FA Cup. So it's going to have to be a strong squad, isn't it, against Rotherham? Whereas if we were playing a non-league opposition, you could probably afford to rotate a little bit more between the 2 games almost. But it is what it is. But yeah, I'd expect. I do still expect rotations. I still think we've got to bear in mind that as fans, we all think it was a crap performance, but he didn't think it was a crap performance. So I don't think Holloway will look to change too much next Saturday in comparison to what played last Saturday. If I'm honest, just because of his own reflection on the game. It'll be good. Like obviously, if Monroe's out, that Kirkman gets a good lengthy bit of game time. So I'd expect him to come in, as he's already said. Players like McGregor will probably make suit as well to give Snowden a proper rest as well. I mean, defense
Prince will get some game time.
Sorry,
Prince will get some game time.
He's got to. I mean, I still, going back slightly, I still don't understand why he left it so late for Prince Will. Not at all. Sorry, he didn't bring him on at all, did he? On Saturday, or did he? I don't know. But I'd imagine he'll start Prince Will. I think, especially because didn't Prince Will get 2 of the goals? One of the goals at Reading.
Against Reading, yeah.
One. I think he got
one of the goals against Reading. So, I think he's probably got a good level of option. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Glatz and Prince Will, to be totally honest. But it's or Palmer. Obviously, Palmer didn't play a full game as well. I think Palmer now might be probably taking up more of a place as a bench for the next couple of games. I think as well, depending on how Drinan and Glatzel and Prince Will and all that are getting on. But there's a few options he could definitely do up front, which I quite like. Midfield, you've kind of got. Does he play Clark again? He doesn't seem to like playing Clark in those midweek one-off games and Virtue Trophy games and things. So whether Clark's got the stamina to do it, but Kilkenny's probably got to rest at some point as well. And I think I'd rather Kilkenny rested tomorrow than on Saturday. So
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, one player I wouldn't be surprised to see in this would be Ward in the sticks. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the sticks. I kind of hope it does happen because I know everybody's opinions on Ripley, but let's be honest, he is the so down number 1, especially in Holloway's eyes at the moment. But he's going to need to keep Ward fresh still. So I wouldn't be surprised if he puts him in the Virtue, which again I wouldn't be against. So
I think for me, Ward makes sense. I think the change at left wing back will definitely
Delaney
happen.
will probably be in as well, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. If and I've got no reason to suggest you're wrong. If you're right about the Mabete situation, in terms of bringing him off on 4 yellows, I think it makes sense for him not to play Virtue so that he's not suspended for Rotherham.
I don't think.
I
I
can't,
don't think.
I
I
can't
don't think
remember
it
if the
carries over.
suspensions carry over.
I don't think the Virtue Trophy carries over into the FA Cup. So,
Oh, okay.
but I could be wrong. But I think he's got to also look at the rules of the game, rules of the competition as well, which is why I think Delaney will be in, because it's no longer about how many started the last game, is it? It's about how many senior appearances they've had. Whereas Delaney's obviously had a lot. The only concern I would have then is if he's put Delaney and if Tafazoli's potentially looking for a run out, putting them two together.
I think one will be on the bench to swap.
Yeah, that would make sense. Maybe Delaney 45 and Tafazoli 45 or something. And then obviously what Will Wright will play. I think Will Wright will play. I think although, kind of 2 months ago, we probably said he wouldn't play because he was such a regular in the first team, but I think he'll see him as an opportunity to get his fitness up even more. So yeah, I've probably gone through most of the squad there. But
maybe on course, free kicks and penalties.
Yeah. Or it might change our mind. Old Acre will play. I'm sure everybody would be well excited about that.
Let's see how you're feeling about it then. Rich, you said you had a score in mind. You've waited with bated breath to tell us.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there'll be goals tomorrow. I think.
I said that about the Colchester game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I think it's going to be like 4-2 or something like that.
Okay.
I'll go. Scoring 4 goals. All right. I'll go 4-2 Swindon. I'll be positive.
Okay. Woody?
I'm gutted I'm not going because I like the Virtue Trophy games, but I'm going to go 1-1, but we win the penalty shootout.
Okay.
I think.
I'm going to go Swindon win 2-0 is my prediction to get us back on track.
You must remember as well that West Ham first team is shit at the moment as well, so probably some of their under-21s are probably already knocking on the door of the first team.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go into additional time then as we pass our usual 90-minute mark, and let's turn our attentions to the women's games. So much, as we said on Friday, was happening this weekend. It's difficult to pinpoint where to start. Now, I know you were both at games, so let's start with the one that neither of you were at. As Bassett, well, they went to town in their game. 9-0, I believe it finished, Woody. I know Maddie got 2 of them. I think Hannah was on the score sheet as well.
Hannah, Kat, Ellie, Scott. They all got
basically
goals.
Half the people that have appeared on this show were all on the score sheet. And Bri got player of the match.
I laughed at not against Bri, obviously, but I laughed at. I did laugh.
9-0 win and a defender.
9-0 win and a defender gets POM, and a defender that didn't score either. It's I mean, Stockwood. Me and Rich have said a couple of times this season. I can't remember if it's been on the pod or off the pod, but they don't seem to be very active this year in terms of players. I know they only had 11. I think they only had 11 players on Sunday as well, so they had to bear 11, I believe. It does make it a bit more difficult to take a judgment on how the game went. I'm pleased that Honor Fraser scored, to be totally honest. She seems to be hitting a bit of form in front of goal at the moment, which isn't bad for a wing back converted to a winger. So, I mean, I look at it and you go, did I go to the wrong game? Probably not, because I probably would have said it was going to be a 5 or a 6-0 anyway, to be honest. But it is good for Bassett to have a game where they are, dominant and ruthless in front of goal, because in my opinion they haven't really been that this season. So because I think Lauren Bully was one of the other scorers as well. It's good for Bassett, but it's not a massive surprise at the same time. They should maybe not 9-0, but they should be convincingly beating teams like Stockwood, in my opinion. Granted, my last game at Bassett was a 1-1 draw with Stockwood, but we don't need to talk about that.
Shows the progression being made under the new manager.
Yes, yeah, that's it. Yeah, shows the progression being made under the new manager.
Okay, let's bring Rich in then. We obviously had the luxury on Friday of an extensive preview of your FA Cup game. It's a long trip over to Lewes, and although it ended in defeat, it certainly was not an embarrassment, and you've come away proud of your team's efforts.
Yeah, massively proud. The team, I mean, obviously nobody likes to lose a football match, but just given the team that we were up against, and everything that came out of that game, everybody was just so buzzing to be there. And again, like I say, a lot of those players, well, I say that they won't get that opportunity again. I have no doubt that they will get that opportunity again because they're so young. We had 3 16-year-olds in the team, 3 17-year-olds starting, and a couple of 18-year-olds as well as the other players that are slightly older. And, you know, they just did themselves so proud. Like, we held a team 3 divisions above us who are at home as well, with a massive crowd behind them.
Big drum.
Incredibly loud. In fact, they were so loud. They had a drum as well, and they were so loud that none of the players could hear anything that the coaches were shouting off the touchline. So, and not even the liner, because we were shouting to the liner a few times, just asking like added time and stuff like that, and even he couldn't hear us. The atmosphere of Lewes were absolutely unbelievable.
That's why they played so well, because they couldn't hear their coaches.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's probably right. But yeah, it's it's so brilliant to see the hard work that we worked on, because we went with the game plan that we always knew it was going to be a tough ask. You know, and we went in with a game plan, and we executed it so well. Even after we conceded the first goal, we continued to go with the game plan and stick to our guns. It was probably a little bit of a shame that we conceded 2 goals quite near each other. And then the third goal was probably questionable that it should have even happened, because I think the ref decided to play a little bit more extra time than he should have done. So, but by the by, doesn't really matter. They took all 3 of their goals, in the first half, incredibly well. So it was just fantastic from that perspective, from our game, that it wasn't actually like any sloppy goals. Like, they were just better than us, and we knew they were going to be better than us. I mean, they were a team that were in the Women's Championship 2 or 3 seasons ago, and they continue to set their standards, and they're just such a really, really good football club, that are doing things in order to change the regulations within the women's game, and that was completely obvious at the start of the game. They want equal pay as the men's game. They're the only team that are paid the exact same as their men's team. So that's why they're trying to get equal pay in terms of prize money in the FA Cup, and to the women's game as in the men's. So there was a lot of that kind of stuff that was happening before the game. So, you know, they're a really, really good, hospitable club. And like I said, their fan base was just absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, listen, I know, like you said, no one wants to lose, but you can all certainly return to league action with your head held high. And as you say, this is the first time you've got there, and now you've got the taste for it. You'll go again next year and try and go one step further.
Yeah, I think as well. I think a lot of a lot of people wrote us off even before a ball was kicked, and I think in terms of our mindset, we knew we had to go in quite positively, because if we didn't, that game could have been what people expected it to be, which was double figures. Um, but fair play to our keeper Lily. She wasn't the only player that had a really good game. Like, her defense was, if her defense wasn't there, I don't think she would have made as many saves as she did.
Yeah.
I've always said, as a goalkeeper, if you've got a strong back line in front of you, it does make your job a lot easier, in terms of making fantastic saves. But she went above and beyond yesterday, and she made I said in my pre-match comments to your sport, I was like, what a game to make a name for yourself. It's a shame that their manager Emma Byrne, who was Arsenal's most appearance holder, and played the same position as Lily, wasn't actually there. So I think that was a massive shame. But either way, though, she can go ahead with her head held high. The ref spoke to me at the end of the game. He was just constantly saying how good she was. And I said, "Oh, how old do you think she is?" And he goes, 18, 19 years old. I said 16, and he's like, "Fuck off." And I was like, "Yeah." And even still, also over the tannoy at the end of the game as well, where they said the scoreline, they just gave a massive shout out to her as well, which was really, really nice.
Nice
In
touch.
fact, I was a little bit overcome with emotion myself. To be honest, I was fighting back tears myself. So it was just an incredible atmosphere. So from that perspective too. But yeah, like you said, going back into league action now, a lot of the time, especially when you've come off an FA Cup loss, it can derail you a little bit, and trying to get back on track to where we set off, really. But it's fantastic that the team are so positive. We've even made another signing today as well, which was really, really good from our perspective. She's a player that has played for us before, before I came here. So and she's a top player. She was one that went to Forest Green. Now she's come back again. So we've just strengthened our squad even more now, going in back into league action now. So it's really, really exciting. The team is so positive. They've had that incredible experience. So and like you said, yeah, hopefully that's not going to be the only time that we get there. Hopefully we can continue to push on for even better next season. Let's hope we can go one step closer next season.
Absolutely. The other game we should talk about, Woody, is Swindon Town. They did qualify for the next round, where they've been drawn a local derby, Oxford City away, in the next round. For
Your old
Swindon.
stomping ground.
Yeah, the Adam Wood derby, take 4.
And it wasn't without its own adversary, was it, Woody? Because Swindon ended up down to 10.
Yeah, it wasn't a great spectacle, to be honest. It was very much a job done kind of game. I don't know. It just felt like both teams struggled to get into a bit of a rhythm in the first half.
Recurring theme.
Yeah. Maybe it's the pitch, but it's I mean, Swindon deserved the win. There was no doubt about it. They had the better chances. I've got no qualms with the sending off. I had a chat with one of the committee members, and he said he didn't think it was a foul, and I said, well, fortunately, mate, it was. Because where Barry and I were, we were literally right in front of it when it happened, pretty much. And with Billy, she's very. I mean, I admire her for it. She's very aggressive. She's gone to close down the keeper. She's gone to floor. The keeper's already cleared it, and she's caught the keeper. And I think I said straight away because I was there with Barry. As I said that I think she'll be lucky if she sees a yellow. Obviously, the ref, who had a very good game, walked over to the lino. Lino's told her what's happened, and then Billy's seen red. But even then, do you know what? It didn't. I don't think it will have changed it for the players and it will have changed it for Rich Wood, but it didn't feel like it changed the game too much. Dulwich didn't really. They looked like they added to their attack. They brought in a player that I didn't recognise, but she was quite crafty, but she was given a lot of space as well. So, yeah, I mean, one thing I will say though is credit to Dulwich fans. I wanted to catch a video, but every time I went to record it, they stopped.
I was going to say, I've heard, and Chris mentioned it on OSC earlier, that there's been a fair bit of recognition for the Dulwich support that came down.
I mean, there was about 10 of them. There was more than 10 there, but there was about 10 Dulwich fans that had they had a cowbell and a kazoo, and they were just coming up with some great chants. To be fair, I almost was joining in at one point, but yeah, no, they were. Yeah, they were brilliant, and I take my hats off to them because even when they went 1-0 down, they were still doing it. And what made me laugh was they started the game at the end of Dulwich attacking, and then obviously I've sent you the picture. Unfortunately, the attendance wasn't that great, but we'll come to that in a minute. But they then actually trotted all the way over to the other end of the stands to get to the other end that the Dulwich were kicking. Yeah, exactly. So there's half of Barry's name there as well, half of the town end too. Because we got the VIP treatment of being in the town end for the game. So, but yeah, it's job done, isn't it? At the end of the day, Rich is, and a very.
What do you make of the tie? Oxford City
a very winnable tie. Looking at the teams that are left in it, I don't think they could have asked for. I'm not going to say easy because that's very disrespectful to Oxford City, but. I don't know it as in depth as you, but I know there were a couple in the southern section. I think there were 2 Step 7 clubs left in it.
What I think, Leighton Orient were one. I'm not sure who the other one was, but I'll put it this way: it will be Oxford City's biggest challenge. Let's put it that way. Yeah, minus maybe Oxford United. But yeah, it's. Oh no, I just meant in their season so far. Yeah. So, but no, it's it should be. I mean, they obviously play on 4G as well. So, because I haven't seen the draw, but did you say it's at Oxford
City? Yeah,
Oxford Stadium. So, I mean, that's
the M something stadium.
I can't remember.
M Group.
M Group. Oh, rival of Grundon. But the it's the
M Group Stadium.
Yeah. So.
See, I do my research.
Good work. It used to be called the Velocity Stadium, I think, or something like that. But I mean, nice pitch for him to go play on. It is a nice little ground, Oxford City's ground, to be fair. I think it's a Swindon Town win, which can only be positive because round 3 next? After that brings in a couple more of the big boys, I think, in round 3.
It's the WSL teams in round 3, isn't it?
Yeah, WSL.
I thought. Yeah, I was going to say, you're right. Yeah, WSL 2 come in round 3 and then WSL are either round 4 or 5, aren't they? So, I mean.
Before we finish though, Woody, while we're on the subject of Swindon Town women, and congratulations again, Swindon Town women, it's not just Swindon Town men that have midweek action this week. Swindon Town women also have midweek action under the lights as they travel to your old friends, the team with more coaches than players, Bristol Rovers.
Yeah, at the Mem as well, isn't it? But it's I mean, that's snuck under the radar a little bit, isn't it? I would have thought. I know
because everyone's talking about the fact that they're playing Dulwich, Hamlet, Oxford City, Corsham, Cheltenham. Yeah. No one's talking about Bristol Rovers.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And this is like an early season pace setter in some ways because obviously I think Bristol Rovers are possibly only dropped 2 points. I think they've got 5 wins and 1 draw. I think.
I'll be honest, I haven't done my research into
that. I have to admit I didn't check, but I'm sure it's 5 wins and 1 draw they've had because I think they drew.
What game this could be then?
I think they drew against someone like Bridgewater or something. I can't remember. It might not have been them, but So it's it'll be a hell of a game, I think, and be interesting. Obviously, on the back of Sunday. In terms of legs as well, but obviously with Billy now missing, who I think has been in fantastic form this year. I was having a chat with Mike Dixon. Actually, funny enough,
Mike's been talking to everyone.
on Sunday, and I was saying, we were both saying that, that she's probably, she's done so well in terms of physically to get herself in a good place compared to when she was at Cheltenham and when she first joined. She's actually probably, one of the key players. She's kept the likes of, Gypsy Vivash out the team at times and things like that. So, she's doing really well, but obviously they haven't got her now. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens, because there's obviously a few crossover old foes as well at Bristol Rovers. So, but you're right. The more coaches than players at that club. So,
who's at home? Is it Bristol Rovers?
It's at the Memorial. It's at the Memorial. Yeah,
it's at the Memorial.
Yeah,
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. I was a bit gutted done not going, but it's
Woody, I need to ask at this point then, are you okay? Because you're a bit gutted you're not going to the Virtue Trophy, you're a bit gutted you're not going to Bristol, it's all happening on the same day. Are you okay?
No, I'm not okay. No, it's my niece's birthday tomorrow, so they're doing... who thought this up? Yeah, I know. I'll tell you what, I guarantee you though, if I said to my niece, do you want to go watch Swindon men's, she wouldn't give a shit about the women's, but I bet she would. No, she wouldn't. She 100%
I was going
wants
to
to
say,
go.
is that not the reason that you went out last night?
Huh? No. I just went out for dinner last night. No, I just went out for dinner last night. Yeah.
That's what people that live on Millionaire Road do, Rich. They just go out for dinner.
That's true.
To Robin's farm. I don't think that's where Millionaires Row go. But I'll watch Swindon men's. I'll watch that on the teller, and then and then I'll just keep an eye on Twitter, I guess, for the Bristol Rovers. But I genuinely hope they win, because obviously I've stuck myself in the bloody limelight again when Sahara Osborne Ricketts was on, and I said, I think Swindon will go the whole season undefeated. So, put myself ready for shooting.
Well,
I still haven't forgiven you.
She seemed to agree, mate. So I'm not sure that's on you.
Yeah, but the problem is, Rich, there were some of us that, or I don't necessarily include myself in this, but there were some of the fools that agreed with Woody when he passionately said that Swindon's squad depth was so good that we would go unbeaten in midweek fixtures. And then the first time out, we got beat, and in just about every midweek. Is that 2 or 3 midweek league games we've had? We've been fucking dreadful in all of them.
Yeah, well,
I've missed out.
It's all Woody's fault.
Too bad.
Anyway,
I'll take the blame. That's fine.
Yeah,
take the L on that one, mate.
Listen, tomorrow could be a great day for Swindon Town. Let's hope men and women both get wins, and we can discuss much happier things on Friday. Thank you, as always, gentlemen, for your time. It's very much appreciated. Thank you to everyone who's watched along. And if you are listening to it back, thank you also. If you are going to either the men's or the women's games tomorrow, enjoy yourself, cheer on, loud, proud, as we always say. And let's hope that Friday's episode can be a lot chirpier. And it's Halloween. You never know. 1 or 2 of the fools might even dress up for your entertainment. Let's see what I get the feeling it's going to be one I could be doing on my own, because so many of the fools will be trick-or-treating with their kids. But then again, this is why we kick off at 9 on our show, so you can get that stuff out the way early. This has been fun. Let's do it again on Friday. From me, Rich, Woody, and the rest of the fools, good night.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't